Today we begin our series on assignment Iraq, an in-depth look at the investment opportunities there. But we can't start without taking a closer look at the sacrifice. Since the war began, there have been 4,352 American casualties. 4,200 of those were post-mission accomplished. 118,000 American troops are still serving in the country. Those numbers are staggering. And for that sacrifice to pay off, Iraq's economy must succeed. It's growing at a reported rate of 8%, which is one of the best track records in the world. Unemployment, though, still at a sky-high level of 18.2%. So the question is it time to invest in Iraq, to invest in helping win the peace? Did you know that right now some hedge and mutual funds are getting into Iraq? They're not waiting. We went with them. This is the Iraq few Americans get to see. Sites taken in by a group of hedge funds, mutual funds, and private equity pros who are ready to invest in one of the most dangerous places in the world. We traveled with them. David Grayson is the leader of the expedition. He's a wanderer by trade and a seasoned Wall Street pro. After a career that included stints at a New York Stock Exchange brokerage and ABN AMRO, he spent the past 15 years building his own firm. Hourback Grayson now does trades across more than 120 emerging markets.
Developing markets is where all the growth is. You have capitalism overtaking markets where communism or socialism existed before.
Grayson spends nearly 100 days a year on the road. So why Iraq?
Why Iraq particularly? Probably because it has such negative press that it's nice to come here and be able to see real growth, real infrastructure.
These investors are eager to find opportunity and see Iraq. Here in Erbil, the capital of the Kurdistan region, they explained they want to be first. They're curious, and they're not afraid to get out there and see it for themselves. Between them, they've been to more than 220 countries, and one of them doesn't even keep track. This region of Iraq considered the most secure. And while our group wore suits, not flak jackets, armed security guards did travel with them. Our first stop, Kurdistan's Board of Investment.
Is there a risk that some of the violence and ethnic strife and...
As a citizen as a Kurd, I'm telling you that we are sick of fightings and hearing about violence.
Nick Paget runs a hedge fund focused only on frontier markets, those that aren't developed enough to make the cut for emerging. He spends a lot of time in difficult places in Africa and South America. Maybe that's why, after our convoy got in a high-speed fender bender, he wasn't afraid to risk his life for an in-transit conversation.
I actually had never left the country until I was 23 years old, and I was on a work assignment in the Philippines, and that really piqued my interest of why different countries develop at different rates. If we fast forward, in 2005, my wife and I took a trip around the world. We went to 65 countries.
This was his first trip to Iraq, but he's already done stock trades here, and 1% of his fund is invested here.
We think it's early enough, you actually have the chance to make several times your money.
Everyone knows Iraq has oil, the world's fourth largest reserves. But oil wasn't front and center for these investors. That's why they visited AsiaCell, the biggest Iraqi cell phone company. Dr. Diyar Ahmed is the CEO.
I think the capacity and investing in fiber optic backbone in Iraq is the next oil in Iraq.
Iraq needs bandwidth. That's the only way the country can communicate and up its mobile phone usage. Right now, only 65% of the population has cell phones, compared to a normal rate in the region of close to 100%.
Mobile communication is very promising in Iraq and penetrating very fastly.
Our group was impressed by management at AsiaCell, but their BlackBerries didn't work in Iraq, and everybody wanted to know when that would change. The answer? Within a year or so. But to achieve that, AsiaCell needs capital. David Robbins of mutual fund giant TCW manages more than $1 billion.
We're always looking for new markets and new opportunities globally.
Over lunch of minced onion and lamb kebabs, he tells me that AsiaCell's potential is so vast that if it went public, it would instantly double the total market value of the Iraqi Stock Exchange.
The market's small right now. It's only a $2 billion market cap.
Iraq is still a long way from the New York Stock Exchange. Trading is electronic, but the exchange in Baghdad only opens for 2 hours a day, 3 days a week.
Jason believes the future is much bigger than the 94 small companies listed on the fly-by-night market.
There are individuals who are speculating.
Just a few days before heading to Iraq, he brought the chairman of North Bank, Iraq's biggest, to meet with investors in New York.
So all the infrastructural projects are yet to be invested in. You can go into practically any kind of fields and you will see the doors are open.
And in the eyes of our intrepid group, Iraq is a legitimate place to put money now.
The managers are much more skilled than I ever expected. They're much more sophisticated. They're very smart.
Our trip a rare look at the challenges of post-war economies. Iraq needs investment to become stable, but investors want stability to invest money.
These are the type of opportunities you want to be able to get in early. I think America is going to have a long-term relationship with this country. So I think American companies are going to continue to have advantages.
For Shwan Taha, the Iraqi broker who helped organize the trip, the mission was not just financial. It was patriotic.
I'm probably not the best person to talk about Iraq because I love it too much, you know. So I'm too much of a patriot, you know. But let's look at it very realistically. Where in the world today can you have massive returns, right? Knowing the risks, right?
A sentiment that left our group silent for a moment as we saw in their eyes the realization that money can make a difference.